I almost missed the train that evening. Rain poured heavily across the city, and my shoes were already wet when I finally reached platform 4. My husband Daniel hated lateness. Running late creates stress, he always said. Daniel liked control. Control over time. Control over plans. Control over emotions. Sometimes I admired that about him. Sometimes I hated it. When I entered the train, I immediately saw him sitting near the window. But he wasn't alone. A beautiful woman sat beside him wearing an elegant black coat and gold earrings. She looked calm and expensive. The kind of woman people notice instantly. Daniel was laughing. Laughing. I slowed down without meaning to. For a few seconds, I simply watched them together. Then something strange happened. Daniel saw me, and the smile disappeared from his face immediately. My stomach tightened. I forced myself to walk toward them. "There you are," I said quietly. Daniel stood quickly. "You made it." The woman beside him smiled politely. Her perfume smelled soft and sweet. "This seat is yours," she told me kindly while standing up. I shook my head. "No, it's okay." But honestly, it was not okay. Not at all. The woman moved to another seat farther away. Daniel looked uncomfortable. "Claire, you're soaked," he said. "Sit down before you get sick." I sat beside him silently. The train started moving. Outside, the city lights blurred behind the rain-covered windows. Inside, silence slowly grew between us. Finally, I asked the question burning inside my chest. "Who is she?" Daniel looked forward calmly. "A client." Just one word. Client. But something felt wrong. Very wrong. "Clients make you laugh like that?" I asked lightly. He sighed quietly. "Please don't start." That answer irritated me instantly. "I'm only asking." "She works with our company's investors." I crossed my arms. "She's beautiful." Daniel looked tired suddenly. "Claire." "What? Am I not allowed to notice?" The rest of the ride felt cold and uncomfortable. At one point, I noticed the woman in black looking toward us sadly before turning away again. That confused me even more. When the train finally stopped downtown, everyone began leaving quickly. Daniel grabbed our bags while I walked behind him through the crowded station. Then suddenly, someone touched my shoulder. I turned around. It was the woman in black. Up close, she looked even more elegant. But her eyes looked tired. "I'm sorry," she said softly. I frowned. "For what?" She hesitated. Then she said something that made my heart stop. "Your husband never told you about me, did he?" Chapter 2: The Woman in Black. For a moment, the crowded station disappeared around me. I only heard my heartbeat. Daniel turned quickly when he realized I had stopped walking. His face changed instantly when he saw the woman beside me. "Elena," he said sharply. So he knew her well enough to say her name like that. Not just a client. Not just someone from work. Elena looked nervous suddenly. "I'm sorry," she whispered again. Daniel walked toward us quickly. "We're leaving," he told me firmly. But I stayed still. "No," I said quietly. "I want to hear this." Daniel closed his eyes briefly like he was already exhausted. People moved around us while tension filled the air between us. Finally, Elena spoke carefully. "3 years ago, Daniel helped me during the worst time of my life." I looked between them silently. "My husband died suddenly," she continued. "I was left with enormous debt and legal problems." Her voice shook slightly. "I thought my life was over." Daniel looked uncomfortable. "Elena, this isn't necessary." "Yes, it is," she replied softly. Then she turned back to me. "Your husband spent months helping me fix everything. He never asked for money. Never asked for anything." I stared at Daniel in confusion. Why would he hide that? "He told me about you often," Elena said with a small smile. "He loves you very much." That only confused me more. Then why keep it secret? I asked Daniel. He looked away. And suddenly, I understood. You thought I'd misunderstand. Daniel remained silent. That silence was enough. I laughed bitterly. So instead of telling me the truth, you decided to hide things? It wasn't like that, he said quickly. Really? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like that. Rain thundered outside the station windows. People rushed past us carrying umbrellas and luggage. But the three of us stood frozen in that painful moment. Then Elena reached into her handbag and removed a folded envelope. She handed it to me carefully. What is this? A letter, she said softly. From Daniel. I frowned. Why would Daniel write you letters? Daniel's face became pale immediately. Elena. But she interrupted him gently. You deserve honesty. My hands shook slightly as I opened the envelope. Inside was a short handwritten note. Sometimes helping people feels easier than helping myself. I looked up slowly. Daniel looked broken. And suddenly I realized this situation was not about another woman. It was about a man carrying burdens alone. Again. Chapter 3. The Truth About Love. That night, Daniel and I sat quietly in our apartment. No television. No phones. Only silence. The rain outside continued falling softly against the windows. Finally, I looked at him. Why do you do this? Daniel frowned slightly. Do what? Carry everything alone. He leaned back tiredly. I don't know. Yes, you do. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he finally spoke quietly. My father believed emotions were weakness. I listened carefully. He taught me that men solve problems alone. Daniel laughed sadly. So now I fix everyone else's pain while hiding my own. Something inside me softened instantly. For years, I had mistaken his silence for distance. But maybe silence was simply the only way he knew how to survive. You should have trusted me, I whispered. I know. He looked genuinely ashamed. I just didn't want you to think there was something between Elena and me. I smiled weakly. Well, sitting beside a beautiful woman on a train without explanation doesn't help. For the first time that evening, Daniel laughed softly. A real laugh. Then his expression became serious again. I'm sorry. I walked closer and sat beside him. You know what hurt the most? What? You didn't let me stand beside you. Daniel looked down quietly. Then he reached for my hand slowly. I'm still learning how. Tears filled my eyes immediately. Love is strange sometimes. People think love is only romance, flowers, kisses, and beautiful words. But often, love is learning how to let someone see your weakness without feeling ashamed. That night, Daniel finally rested his head against my shoulder. And for the first time in a very long time, he stopped pretending to be strong. Learn English through story. English challenge. Vocabulary from today's story. 1. Elegant. Meaning, stylish and graceful. 2. Investor. Meaning, a person who puts money into a business. 3. Burden. Meaning, a heavy emotional or physical problem. 4. Weakness. Meaning, lack of strength emotionally or physically. 5. Trust. Meaning, believing someone is honest and reliable. Life lesson. Sometimes people hide things not because they are dishonest, but because they are afraid of being misunderstood. Healthy relationships need honesty, communication, and trust. English challenge question. Do you think secrets can damage a relationship? Write your answer in simple English. Example. Yes. Secrets create distance between people. If you enjoyed this emotional English story, like the video. Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to English Through Stories. Turn on notifications for daily English stories. See you tomorrow for another story, Red Heart.